Hello students, welcome to JCE Connect series of lectures. So we'll continue model number 4. The next part in this model will be turbines. So in that, the impulse turbines. The contents of this part will be introduction to turbines, then the general layout of hydroelectric power plant. That is, you will be studying the essential elements of hydroelectric power plant here. Then the heads and efficiencies, there is a different types of heads and efficiencies which are associated with the hydraulic turbines. Then the classification of turbines, the various classification you will be studying in, you will be studying here. Then the Pelton wheel and its components. Then the working principle of Pelton wheel and the velocity triangles to calculate the force exerting by the jet as well as the work done by the jet. Then the maximum power and efficiency calculation. Then the working proportions of a Pelton wheel and the numerical problems. So introduction. As hydraulic machines, as we know, hydraulic machines are those machines which convert the hydraulic energy, that is energy possessed by the water, into a mechanical energy, which further converted into electrical energy, or the mechanical energy into hydraulic energy. So the hydraulic machines which convert the hydraulic energy into mechanical energy are called as uh, turbines, and the hydraulic machines which convert the mechanical energy into hydraulic energy are called as pumps. And thus, the study of hydraulic machines consists of study of turbines as well as the pumps. And turbines mainly consists of uh, uh, that is a study of a Pelton turbine, Francis turbine, and Kaplan turbine, whereas pumps consists of study of centrifugal pump and reciprocating pumps. And as we know, the turbines are defined as hydraulic machines which convert hydraulic energy into mechanical energy, and this mechanical energy is used in running an electric generator which directly coupled to the shaft of the turbine. So thus the mechanical energy is converted into electrical energy, and the electric power which is obtained from the hydraulic energy, that is energy of water, is known as hydroelectric power. And in at present, the generation of hydroelectric power is the cheapest as compared to the power generated by other sources such as oil, coal, etc. And the classification of turbines. So the hydraulic turbines are classified as follows, and the hydraulic, that is hydraulic turbines are classified according to the head and quantity of water available, and second classification is according to the name of the originator, and the third is according to the type of energy at inlet. Then the fourth classification is according to the direction of flow of water through the runner, and fifth classification is according to the disposition of the turbine shaft. Then next classification, that is according to the specific speed of the turbine. Then according to the head and quantity of water available, the turbines are classified as high head turbines, that is head greater than 250 meter. So in this particular classification, the turbines are classified on the basis of the head and quantity of water available, that is a high head turbines, and second classification is a medium head turbines, that is head between 60 meter to 150 meter, and third classification is low head turbines. And turbines which are capable of working under high heads are called as high head turbines. The quantity of water required for these turbines are relatively less. Then the impulse turbines are in general high head turbines. Impulse turbines are in generally they are classified as a high head turbines. And turbines which are capable of working under a medium heads, that is between 60 to 150 meter, they are called as a medium head turbines. And the quantity of water required for these turbines are relatively large. And modern Francis turbines are in general medium head turbines. And the turbines which are capable of working under a low head, that is less than 30 meter, are called as a low head turbines. And the quantity of water required for these turbines are large. Kaplan and other propeller turbines are uh, in general high head turbines. The range of in general the low head turbines. The range of head for these turbines are mentioned here. That is for high head turbines greater than 250 meter, and medium head turbines 60 to 150 meter, and low head turbines are less than 30 meter. And the next classification will be according to the name of the originator. Uh, According to the name of the originator, hydraulic turbines are classified as Pelton turbine. That is a Pelton turbine. It is named after Allen Pelton of California, and it is an impulse type of a turbine and is used for high head and low discharge. Second is a Francis turbine, and it is named after James Francis. It is a reaction type of a turbine, and this turbine will be used generally medium to low heads of quantity of water. And the third one is a Kaplan turbine. It is also named after Dr. Victor Kaplan. It is a reaction type of a turbine for low heads and large quantities of flow. The next classification, according to the type of energy available at the inlet, uh, hydraulic turbines are classified as a impulse turbine, and this is an impulse turbine. This is requires a high head and a low rate of flow. And the reaction turbine, that is a Francis and Kaplan. So this is a reaction turbine. And generally the hydraulic turbines are classified based on the type of energy available at the inlet. They are impulse turbine and reaction turbines. Uh, if the energy available at the inlet of the turbine is only kinetic energy, if the energy available at the inlet of the turbine is only kinetic energy, the turbine is known as impulse turbine. In the impulse turbine, the available energy of the fluid is converted into uh, kinetic energy in a set of fixed nozzles, and the resultant fluid jet from the nozzle impinges on the buckets of the vanes of the turbine. The important feature of the impulse turbine is there is no change of static pressure across the runner. On the other hand, if the energy available at the inlet of the turbine is both kinetic energy as well as the pressure energy, the turbine is known as reaction turbine. And in reaction turbine, the change from pressure to kinetic energy takes place gradually as the fluid moves through the runner. And to allow this change in a pressure inside the runner must be completely enclosed and the passages in it completely full of working fluid. So this is about impulse and reaction turbines. And this reaction turbine, as we discussed, it requires low head and high rate of flow. And according to the direction of flow of water through the runner, according to the direction of flow of water to the runner, the turbines are classified uh, as tangential flow turbine. Example is a Pelton wheel. Radial flow turbine, that is a Francis turbine, that is no more used. Axial flow turbine, that is a Kaplan turbine, and a mixed, that is a radial and axial flow turbine, that is a modern Francis turbine. And in tangential flow turbines, you can look at this picture where I mentioned all three types of turbines: tangential turbines, mixed turbines, and the axial turbines. So what do you mean by tangentially flow turbine, radial flow turbine, or axial flow turbines? In a tangential flow turbine, that is the first figure, that is a Pelton turbine or impulse turbine. The water flows along the tangent of the runner. The water flows along the tangent of the runner. Sorry, if you This is a runner, this is a runner, and on the runner the buckets are being placed. In tangential turbine, the water flowing, so here the jet is striking the vanes, water flowing along the tangent of the runner. You just observe it, the jet striking the vanes which is in a tangential direction. And the Pelton wheel is a tangential flow turbine, and in a radial flow turbines water flows in the radial direction. So look at this second figure, water is flowing in a radial direction. So water is flowing in radial direction through the runner. And the radial flow turbine may further classified as inward radial flow turbine and outward radial flow turbine. If the water enters at the outer circumference, so like this, if the water is entering from the outer circumference, then the flow is radially inward, outer circumference, and the flows radially inwards towards the center of the runner. Then the turbine is known as inward radial flow turbine. Examples are old Francis turbine is an inward radial flow turbine. On the other hand, if water enters at the center and flows radially outwards towards the periphery of the runner, then the turbine is known as outward flow radial turbine. So in an axial flow turbines, that is this in this figure, axial flow turbine, water flows through the runner along the direction parallel to the axis of rotation. This is the shaft. So and this is the axis of the shaft. Then the water is flowing parallel to the axis of the shaft. So in an axial flow turbines, water flows through the runner along the direction parallel to the axis of the rotation of the runner. Examples are Kaplan turbine is an example of axial flow turbine. And in a mixed flow turbines, water enters the runner in the radial direction and leaves in the direction parallel to the axis of rotation of the runner. Examples: modern Francis turbine is a mixed flow turbine. Next, according to the disposition of the turbine shaft may be placed vertically as well or horizontally. In a modern practice, Pelton turbines, you look at the first figure in this one, Pelton turbines usually have a horizontal shaft, whereas the rest, especially the large units, have a vertical shaft. This is a vertical shaft. According to the specific speed, the low specific speed turbines, medium specific speed turbines, and high specific speed turbines. The specific speed of a turbine is defined as the speed of a geometrically similar turbine that would develop 1 kilowatt under a head of 1 meter. All geometrically similar turbines, irrespective of the size, will have the same specific speeds when operating under the same speed. Depending upon this specific speed, the turbines are classified as a low specific speed turbine, medium specific speed turbine, and high specific speed turbine. And the difference between these, there is impulse turbine and reaction turbine. As we knew, there are two types of turbines. One is a impulse turbine and other one is a reaction turbine. Impulse turbine example is a Pelton wheel, and whereas reaction turbine examples Kaplan and Francis turbine. So what is the difference? The first difference in impulse turbine will be the entire available energy of the water, entire available energy of water is first converted into kinetic energy. In the reaction turbine, the available energy of the water is not converted from one form to the other. And second difference is the water flows through the nozzle and impinges on the buckets which are fixed to the outer periphery of the wheel. That is in case of Pelton wheel. Whereas in case of a reaction turbine, the water is guided by the guide blades to flow over the moving vane. And the third difference is water impinges on the buckets with kinetic energy, and in reaction turbines the water glides over the moving vanes with potential energy. And the fourth one is the pressure of the flowing water remains unchanged and is equal to the atmospheric pressure, whereas in case of a reaction turbine, the pressure of the flowing water is reduced after gliding over the vane. And in again, the next difference in impulse turbine, it is not essential that the wheel should run full, but in reaction turbine, it is essential that the wheel should always run full and kept full of water. And in impulse turbine, it is possible to regulate the flow without a loss. And in case of a reaction turbine, it is not possible to regulate the flow without loss. And in case of impulse turbine, impulse turbines has more uh, efficiency, more hydraulic efficiency, and in case of reaction turbines, the reaction turbines has relatively less efficiency. Impulse turbines operate at high water heads, whereas reaction turbines operates at low and medium heads. Examples of impulse turbines, as we discussed earlier, there is a Pelton wheel. Examples of reaction turbines, they are Francis turbine and Kaplan turbine and propeller turbines. So these are the some differences between impulse turbine and reaction turbine. You can easily differentiate between impulse and reaction turbine. Many times the question will be asked in exam, write a difference between impulse and reaction turbines. You can mention few differences, few important differences between impulse and reaction turbines. And this is the general layout of hydroelectric power plant. So very important for the generation of electricity. General layout of hydroelectric power plant, and what are the components of this hydroelectric power plant. Just let us look at the picture. You can easily understand the general layout of hydroelectric power plant. And it has a dam across a river to store the water. Just look at this figure. It has a dam. So before constructing the dam, so this was the totally catchment area where the entire water is being collecting at this particular catchment area, and from various tributaries and river, the water is coming and collecting at this particular uh, place, and where the dam is being constructing across the river, this like this across the river. When the dam is being constructing across the river, it forms a reservoir behind the dam. Okay, so that is a dam is constructed. The various components of this hydroelectric power plant are a dam constructed across a river to store the water, and the next is a it has very large diameter pipes called penstocks. These are very large diameter pipes, they are called as a penstocks here, which carry water under a pressure from the storage reservoir to turbines. And these pipes are made of steel or reinforced concrete. Then the turbines having a different types of vanes, and this turbine could be of any type. It could be a Pelton turbine, or it could be a Francis turbine, or a Kaplan turbine, depending upon the head of water available at that particular place. And these turbines are fitted with vanes, uh, uh, that is a different types of vanes fitted to the wheels. And turbines, that is sorry, the tail race, it has a tail race which is channel. Tail race is nothing but which is a channel which carries the water away from the turbines after the water has worked on the turbines. Okay, so this is the general layout of a turbine, and it layout of a hydroelectric power plant, which consists of a catchment, reservoir, dam, penstock, and turbines. The most important part here is in hydro, uh, that is in hydro power plant, the water is utilized to move the turbines, which in turn run the electric generators. Then here the potential energy of the water stored in the dam gets converted into the kinetic energy of the moving water in the penstock, and this kinetic energy gets converted into electric energy with the help of a turbines and generator combination. And hydropower plant was invented by H.F. Rogers. And the most important requirement of a hydroelectric power plant for the generation of power is the abundant uh, availability of continuous supply of water and with a large amount of hydraulic energy. And this may be supplied either from a natural lake or a reservoir like this can be in this like this is a micro hydropower system. Here also the quantity of water available in a lake, there is a natural lake which is being used as a uh, mm, supply of water to the house. In this particular lake, the water is being fed into the canal. Then from the canal, the water is being stored at four bays, and from the four bays, the water is again carrying through the penstock and supplying to the powerhouse. So this is the general layout of a hydroelectric power plant. As I said, this may be supplied either from a natural lake or a reservoir located at higher elevation or by constructing a dam across the river. And this picture, what it is showing, the general layout of a hydraulic power plant. The water surface in the storage reservoir is known as a headrace level. Just I'll show you in this particular picture, so you can uh, just name the various levels. Head race here mentioned is the head race. This is the head race, and here marked as a tail race. Sorry, here marked as a tail race. Uh, what do you mean by head race? The water surface in the storage reservoir, the water surface in the storage reservoir is known as a head race, level, and water from the storage reservoir is carried through a large diameter, usually made of large diameter pipes, usually made of steel or a reinforced concrete, to the turbines, and these pipes are known as penstocks. These pipes are known as penstocks, and turbines are the key elements of hydroelectric power plant for converting the hydraulic energy into mechanical energy. The water after passing through the turbine is carried away from the powerhouse by a channel known as tail race. I'll repeat, the water after passing through the turbine, after passing through the turbine is carried away from the powerhouse by a channel known as tail race, and the water surface in the tail race is known as tail race level. Is known as tail race level, and the various heads, uh, the different heads involved in the analysis of hydraulic turbines are the gross head. It is marked as a HG here. Just look here. This is the gross head and this is the net head. How the gross head can be defined? The gross head is the difference between the head race level and the tail race level. The gross head is the difference between head race level, difference between the head race level the difference between the head race level and the tail race level when the no water is flowing. And the net head, what do you mean by net head? The head available at the inlet of the turbine. Here, the head available at the inlet of the turbine is known as a net head, and it is obtained by subtracting the losses from the gross head Usually the minor losses such as losses due to pipe fittings, bends, etc. are of very small magnitude as compared to the loss due to fluid friction in the penstock and are neglected. Thus, the net head can be expressed as the net head can be written as like this. The net head H can be written as Hg minus Hf. Hg minus Hf, where Hf is the loss of head due to friction. This much is the loss of head due to friction. So before allowing water to flow into the penstock, this was the head available, that was the gross head available. That is the difference between the head rest level and the tail rest level is known as a gross head. And as the water starts flowing through the penstock, and because of the friction, some losses will occur, and taking into account only the major loss and the other losses, that is minor loss, are being neglected, then this much is the friction loss, and deduct, that is subtracting this friction loss in a gross head, then whatever the head available at the inlet of the turbine is known as net head. And this friction loss can be calculated by using the Darcy-Weisbach equation. As we know, Hf equal to FLV square by 2GD. From this formula we can calculate the loss, that is loss due to friction. So in this formula, that is Hf equal to FLV square by 2GD, where F is the friction factor, that is Darcy's friction factor, L is the length of the pipe, V is the velocity, that is average velocity of the flow in the penstock, and the D is the diameter of the penstock. And the different efficiencies are involved in the analysis of a turbine. There are different efficiencies which are available. That they are the hydraulic efficiency, then the volumetric efficiency, then the mechanical efficiency, and overall efficiency. So before discussing different efficiencies involved in the analysis of a turbines, let us discuss about some of the losses occurred which are occurred in a power plant are given below. The first loss comes the head loss in the penstock. As water starts flowing through a penstock, so this is the friction loss in the pipe of a penstock, that is generally occurs. Then the second loss will come, the head loss in the nozzle. The first loss is the friction loss in a pipe, that is in a penstock, and the second loss as the water is coming out of the nozzle, and the nozzle is being fitted at the end of the penstock. So here, that is in this case of impulse turbine, there is a head loss due to the nozzle friction. The third loss will be the hydraulic losses. In case of impulse turbines, these losses occur due to the blade friction, a deformation, and kinetic energy of the living water. In a reaction turbines, apart from the above losses due to friction in the draft tube and disc friction also occurs. And next loss generally come into across leakage losses. In case of the impulse turbines, the whole of the water may not be striking the buckets, and therefore some of the water power may go waste. So in a reaction turbine, some of the water may be passing through the clearance between the casing and the runner without striking the blades, and thus not doing any work. These losses are called as leakage losses. And the mechanical losses means the power produced by the runner is not available as useful work of the shaft. The power produced by the runner is not available as useful work of the shaft because some power may be lost in bearing friction as mechanical losses. Means whatever the power we get at the uh, runner, it may not be transferred 100% to the shaft. It's because of what? Because of bearing friction as a mechanical losses. And the next comes the generator losses. Due to the generator loss, power produced by the generator is still lesser than the power obtained at the shaft output. So these are the various losses occurring at various stages. The first stage of loss will be occurring in a penstock, and the next stage loss will be occurring in a nozzle, and the next will be in while striking the blades, the losses will occur. Then leakage losses will be occurring. Then the mechanical losses means while transferring the energy from the blade to the runner to the shaft, these mechanical losses will be occurring because of the bearing friction. And while transferring the energy from the shaft to the generator, again the generator losses will occur. Okay, these are the some losses which are occurring in turbines, or I can call it as a power plant. The next will be the efficiencies of turbines. So efficient, there are four types of efficiencies. There are which are involved in the analysis of a turbine are hydraulic efficiency, mechanical efficiency, volumetric efficiency, and overall efficiency. So what do you mean by hydraulic efficiency? Hydraulic efficiency, it is the ratio of power developed by the runner of a turbine to the power supplied by the water at the inlet. So I'll repeat, it is the ratio of power developed by the runner of a turbine to the power supplied by the water at the inlet. Means when the water is flowing through the veins of the runner, there are always hydraulic losses as the veins are not smooth, and hence the power developed by the runner is always less than the power supplied at the inlet of the turbine. So thus the ratio of power developed by the runner to the power available at the inlet is known as hydraulic efficiency. And mathematically it can be written as this one: hydraulic efficiency, that is eta h, will be the power developed by the runner to the power at the inlet of the turbine. Next, the power supplied by the water at the inlet to the turbine is given as rho q g into h. So we can write the power available at the inlet of the turbine, that is P will be rho q g into h. This much power available. This is also called as a water power, and where q is the discharge and h is the net head on the turbine, then the hydraulic efficiency is expressed as power developed by the runner divided by rho q g h. The next will be what? The mechanical efficiency. So in mechanical efficiency, it is the ratio of power available at the shaft to the power developed at the runner. So in the first efficiency, from the water the power is transferring to the runner, that is power developed by the runner to the power available at the inlet of the blade. Second is mechanical efficiency, that is power at the shaft of the turbine to the power developed by the runner. Means in case of mechanical efficiency, the power delivered by the water to the runner of a turbine is transmitted to the shaft of the turbine. Due to mechanical losses, the power available at the shaft of the turbine is less than the power delivered to the runner of the turbine. Thus, the ratio of power available at the shaft of the turbine to the power delivered to the runner is defined as mechanical efficiency. Hence, mathematically it can be written as eta m is equal to power at the shaft of the turbine to the power developed by the runner. Then next efficiency, volumetric efficiency. So what do you mean by volumetric efficiency? It is the ratio of volume of water actually striking the runner to the volume of water supplied to the turbine. Means when the water is supplied at the inlet to the turbine, uh, some of water is discharged to the tail race without striking the runner. Therefore, the quantity of water actually strikes the runner is less than the quantity of water supplied to the turbine. Thus, the ratio of quantity of water actually striking the runner to the quantity of water supplied to the turbine is known as volumetric efficiency. And mathematically, it can be represented as volumetric efficiency eta V is equal to volume of water striking the bucket, volume of water striking the bucket, that is actually striking the bucket, divided by volume of water supplied to the turbine. Then the overall efficiency, it is the ratio of power available at the shaft of the turbine. It's the overall efficiency, the power available at the shaft of the turbine to the power supplied by the water at the inlet of the turbine. This is the overall efficiency. Then mathematically, the overall efficiency, that is power available to the shaft divided by power supplied at the inlet. So overall efficiency generally represented as eta V, eta M and eta H. So the same, that the overall efficiency, how it can be written, that is as I said, the overall efficiency will be the ratio of shaft output to the net power available at the turbine inlet gives overall efficiency of the turbine. So which can be written mathematically shaft output by net power available. And overall efficiency can be written also shaft output divided by rho into bracket Q plus delta Q into GH. This is the water power. Generally, this is the actual water power available at the inlet of the turbine. So which can further written as shaft output by runner output, then the runner output by uh, water power, then the volume of water, quantity of water actually striking the runner to the quantity of water supplied to the turbine. So this here, sorry, in this particular, this equation, we have splitted, that is shaft power by runner output by water power, then the quantity of water actually striking to the quantity of water supplied at the turbine. So shaft power by runner power is known as a mechanical efficiency. Runner power by water power is a hydraulic efficiency, and quantity of water actually striking the blades to the quantity of water supplied at the inlet of the vane is known as volumetric efficiency. Thus, all the three types of losses, mechanical, hydraulic, and volumetric, have been taken into account for the overall efficiency. This is the overall efficiency. Okay. I hope you understood these various efficiencies involved in the analysis of a turbine. Mainly there are four efficiencies. There is the hydraulic efficiency, then the volumetric efficiency, mechanical efficiency, and overall efficiency. And the heads involved in the analysis of hydraulic turbines are gross head and the net head. Okay, these are very, very important when we do derivation for the impulse turbine by considering the velocity triangle. That time you should know these all efficiencies as well as heads involved in the turbine. I hope you understood these things. So please go through once again, try to understand this one. So next uh, lecture, so I'll be taking the impulse turbine, uh, then the components of impulse turbine, then how to calculate the efficiencies and power developed by the impulse turbine in next class. Thank you.